What is commercial construction? In this video, I'm going to explain what commercial construction is, why we use the term, why it's different from other types of construction, and really fill in the gaps for anything relating to the term. So would you like to know exactly what commercial construction entails, what the different phases are, and what you can expect with that type of construction? If so, you've come to the right place. So commercial construction relates to or references new construction or renovations for buildings or structures that are typically for the purposes of office buildings, retail spaces, warehouses, hotels, and restaurants. This type of construction is different than other types. Mainly, the main difference I would say is because it's different from residential. When people think about construction, sometimes they think about home building, renovations, multifamily. Commercial construction is bigger. It has more regulations, zoning laws, and safety standards, and you're going to find different types of materials and really complex aesthetics in commercial construction. Another distinction you might be thinking of is the difference between commercial construction and industrial. Industrial is specific to facilities for manufacturing, production, and distribution, like factories or warehouses. So that's the difference. Most of what we see in the industry, on this YouTube channel, on LinkedIn, is dealing with commercial construction, right? So this is very pertinent to the people listening to this YouTube channel. And so I want to go through some of the things that you'll find on a commercial construction site, then take you through the steps. So let's go. So there are 5 key things that you will see with commercial construction projects that I want to talk to you about right now. Number 1, planning and design. Planning and design is a thing. In fact, sometimes when we write books or talk about design and pre-construction, I think some people are like, what is all the fuss about? Like, give me the plans, right? When you're talking about commercial construction, you will typically have, and you need to have a long ramp where there is design and pre-construction and planning services. So when you're talking about commercial and industrial construction, you will have a very intensive design, pre-con, and planning effort. Number 2, permits and regulations. The permits and regulations for a commercial project are quite a bit bigger and a lot more than what you would see on a residential project. Commercial projects need to comply with local, state, and federal requirements and are held to a higher standard. Number 3, project management for a commercial construction project is pretty intense. So I'm also always talking about PM, superintendent. We have a team, we have a trailer, we have planning methods that we use, last planner system with multiple foremen. And again, I think sometimes people are like, that's interesting. And there's nothing wrong with this, but they're used to having one person supervise or a residential superintendent overseeing multiple like residential projects. On a commercial project, you'll have a larger team, especially if the project is larger. So having that, the focus be on managing the entire system as a construction manager or a general contractor, having that really intense, focused effort to really build a team that will stay throughout the life cycle of a project is unique or always associated with a commercial or industrial project. For the material use, this is interesting. Typically in residential projects, which I'm not saying are easier or worse, right? I love all of it. But typically you're going to see simpler material uses. You're going to see a lot of stick frame, a lot of wood frame buildings. In commercial, you've got a wider variety of materials, higher end materials, more durable structures. You are dealing with really high architectural finishes, things that require quite an intensive submittal effort, a lot of expertise to install, and they're quite beautiful and enduring structures in a commercial environment. Now, in the industrial, you're not going to have the same architectural features. You are going to have an intense structural design on an industrial facility. And number 5, investing. The finances required to build a large commercial project are very, very extensive, and it takes quite a bit to get financing from banks and from lenders. So now what I'd like to talk to you about is the steps that a commercial construction project will follow. So now you know some things that are unique. You know the differences from commercial and residential, commercial and industrial. Let's talk about the processes that this project will follow. Number one, project initiation. This is where a feasibility study will be done. The developer or the owner will find out if they can feasibly build this according to their pro forma, meaning what would make sense from a financial standpoint where they get a return on an investment, or if it's financially feasible according to a budget, according to the organization's needs. Number two, site selection and analysis. This is where there will be an evaluation of zoning criteria, environmental impacts, whether or not the location fits the needs of the end users and the company itself. Number three, the design phase, like I've already talked to you about. Once you have selected a site and a design team and engineers, you will want to go through like I said, an extensive design process. We do not want to design this thing in a silo. We want to merge that design effort with the general contractor or construction manager and early design assist trade partners to make sure that we have a really, really great plan. So we're oh my gosh, this is so good. So we're designing the project together, and from a budget, schedule, and constructability standpoint, we want to do that together, but we're also designing the plan, how we're going to put it together. So if you think about it like this, design is like the exact ingredients for the cake that you're going to make, but you need to know how to make the cake. So you're going to turn that into a recipe. So the design and pre-construction and the pre-construction effort, the planning put together ends up becoming your recipe for your project. That's a good analogy. Thank you for the compliment. For your project will always go through a permitting and approvals process. This is quite extensive. Again, this is much, much different than simply obtaining a permit for a residential home or a complex. This is very extensive. This goes through multiple reviews. It goes through the zoning process, and you must obtain building permits for this, and this could take months, and there's a video on that as well, months or even in some cases years. 6, as you are going through the pre-construction process, you will either design to a budget according to a stipulated sum, or when the contractor, the general contractor or construction manager or other estimating firm are able to provide feedback on how much it costs, a solid budget must be put together, and the building entity, meaning the owner or the developer, need to make sure that they have enough financing for the project. Number 6, and this is a huge one, and we have videos on this YouTube channel on how to do it, select a good contractor that is not just based on low bid, but that has best value. This is absolutely key because it's not just important that it gets built, but it's important whether or not it gets built with quality and how we get there. Number 7, project planning, and this is my favorite. This is why projects go right, is to have a capable and competent builder, general contractor or construction manager working with the design team and the owner and the early design assist trade partners to make a project plan where we can actually meet the substantial completion end date with high quality for the lowest overall total project cost. That is absolutely key. And so your planning is not done until you can build, this is so good, I hope you remember this, until you can build what's in the design for the budget that the owner has on time. So then we have the construction phase, which starts with mobilization and make ready. That's where that project team we talked about comes on site. Then we have your clearing of the site. So you have clearing and grubbing, you have excavation, sometimes shoring, deep foundations or a basement. Then you have the superstructure coming up through the building, which is one of my favorite phases, right? Then the exterior envelope and the interiors fit out. And one of the things that we can't ever forget that, this is a big difference actually between commercial and residential, is actually, let me say it like this: residential, commercial, industrial, differing levels of mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, right? Low mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, medium or higher end MEP systems that need to be commissioned, and then in industrial, it really ramps up and you have some pretty massive systems. So don't ever forget the final inspections phase, testing and inspection phase, and the commissioning efforts on your project, in addition to, which because they go parallel, the site work and the closeout of the actual site before substantial completion. Number 9, inspections and compliance. Every commercial construction project, actually in residential and industrial, but again on different scales, must make sure that they're getting the proper inspections and sign-offs from the authority having jurisdiction in order for it to be occupied. Commercial and industrial projects are much more intense when it comes to this, because these, like for instance with a commercial project, you have occupants, people occupying the building, and the authority having jurisdiction must make sure that everything is inspected and commissioned properly so that you can have a large quantity of people inside the building and able to access and egress the building safely. So there will be quite a few requirements when it comes to commissioning or starting up that building and getting it to fully function and keeping people safe with the elevators and life safety systems. And then at the end of the project, you have your project completion and closeout and your warranty period, where you will train the owner and make sure that for at least a year afterwards you're maintaining the building. And then the owner takes over operations and uses it for its intended use. So this is an overview of the different steps that a commercial project will go through. So hopefully now you have enough information to arm you with what it is, what makes it unique, and the steps you'll go through. I'm going to put this all into a blog post down below. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I would love to hear you in the comments. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.